We are not here to make breadcrumbs. So no dollars was involved, no money was at risk. All we did is we structured the transaction, and luckily when the transaction failed...
Does a letter of credit require a sovereign guarantee?
There was no letter of credit.
There was a letter of credit. This was an overdraft facility according to
you
your letter. When you wrote an addendum yourself,
yes,
this one you signed,
yes,
you said until the repayment of the loan is done. You call it a loan, and you call it also an overdraft facility.
No, let me explain.
That was given because the bank was supposed to pay. It's the bank that paid, and the government guaranteed. So it was not a letter of credit.
You don't understand international trade. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah, but I know what is a letter of credit and what is not.
A letter of credit will lead rise to payment ultimately when the good is delivered. So when we say a loan, we are meaning when the good is delivered, the fiscal settlement of that bill. That's what we were referring to.
The bank was supposed. What do the bank mean by disbursement?
No, the bank. There was.
When KEBE failed, the 15 million charges among them. The bank says disbursement.
Can I lie?
No, we need to clarify things. We cannot. No, it's a press conference. You cannot allow the minister to just say anything and just go home like.
No. I'm just
needs to clarify that.
When you issue an LC, it's a commitment. When the goods are delivered, that's when payment falls due. At that stage, you have to pay. And that stage of payment, it will be unfunded because the goods are not sold yet. That's why we said we call it a loan. But no fiscal money was disbursed.
So why did you say that the Gambia government had a risk exposure, which was solved by coming in? Because you knew.
I'm coming in. Can I lie? Gambian banks cannot issue LCs of that magnitude that are not confirmed. No bank in this country can issue an LC for importation of rice of 12,500 metric tons. So you need what they call a confirming bank. And in the process, those at each stage there were charges. It is the accumulation of those charges that accrue to that 15 million and related expenditure of issuing the LC. LC was issued, a trader was identified, the transaction was confirmed. So we have a working LC. All that made the deal not work was the trader's failure to supply. If the trader had supply, and to where we structure this is what I call warehouse financing. We structure this in such a way that the Ministry of Interior through the police would be taking cost security, the mega bank cashier would be on post, and the proprietor would not have access to either the goods or the cash until it is settled and all the terms and expenses related to the transaction are fully paid. That's how we look at the risk profile of the transaction before we went to the trade. So I hope I'm clear enough, and if you have any further question, please.
No, KEBE, you haven't addressed the issue of KEBE.
KEBE?
Because KEBE had...
No, excuse. The bank did the due diligence. The bank identified. We, as a ministry, did not run a credit check on KEBE. It was the bank that issued the credit. Who runs a credit check on an applicant is the bank.
Yeah, but the bank had shown the willingness to not accept it. In fact, one of the people who had presided over this, we spoke to, and they told us it's because the two ministers were involved. That's why we gave a green. That's why we went ahead with it.
Excuse
me. The first issue is The first issue is this violated the credit risk policy of the bank because I read it and I saw it. Secondly, when the CBG first deputy governor was asked to review this file, he told them KEBE had debt with AMRC to recover. We should not go ahead with this. He was clear. It's on the record. And yet all those rules were waived, and KEBE was considered. Win-win was considered.
Let me tell you. Let me guide you through. It's not the financial standing of the borrower alone that determines whether he's become eligible. It's the structure of the transaction. KEBE was irrelevant here if this transaction had taken place. One, he will not take custody of the goods. Two, he will not have access to the cash. So where is the credit risk? Where is the credit risk? Just because he had defaulted before doesn't make him ineligible to any credit. And by the way, we as a ministry did not partake in the internal discussion at the bank. I think this is not for an IMF briefing. We can take this offline. And I understand. I think as a journalist, if you want to draw a story on a topic, do some research on it.
You said in the Russian oil, you said there
yes,
was no,
okay.
there was no violation. And you said,
no, I never said so.
Okay, but
I never said there was no violation.
let
Yeah, let the GRA answer.
So
Don't put words into my mouth.
When the GRA received the tip-off from the Financial Intelligence Unit,